What is going on, everybody? My name is Fluffy Ninja, and welcome back to another Mr. Ballen reaction video. The first one did relatively well. The TikToks that I took from it have been doing really well, and just the feedback that I've gotten from friends for doing it has been absolutely amazing. And I was like, you know what? I have one more that I think I want to do. Now, I've tried recording this video before, and unfortunately, my recording software fucked up, and it didn't go well. For some reason, it recorded like 2 minutes, and then it was like, all right, well, I'm going to stop recording. So that was a little disappointing, but it's been a little bit since I've done that, so I don't really remember what I was saying. So most of this is going to come off the top of my head again, like how I did before. And this is Mr. Ballen's Top 3 Scariest Forest Stories, Halloween Scarathon Part 1. Again, he's done a lot of, like, series like this around, like, Halloween and stuff like this. I absolutely still just love his videos. We still watch them on a weekly basis, honestly. This one is pretty spooky, honestly. I remember watching it, like, a couple weeks ago and being like, man, this is... I don't think I would react like that. I don't think I would have that reaction. Absolutely no way. So here we go. We're going to get into it, and I hope you enjoy.
In the early 2000s, a teenager named Eben and his father would regularly go hunting in the Georgia backcountry. When Eben turned 14, his father befriended a very wealthy landowner in Georgia who offered them access to one of his best private hunting areas.
So if you're friends with anybody wealthy and they offer you access to a hunting area, they're probably going to get together with their rich friends and hunt you. That's like 90% of how those movies start. Is just, oh, I found, my rich friend, he's got some hunting land, and then all of a sudden you're being hunted by rich psychopaths. Like, that's just what happens.
And just a couple of days later, on October 5th, Eben and his father would take him up on the offer. They woke up super early and they drove out to the edge of this property that was actually fenced in. And they went to a main gate where they had the combo that this guy had given them. They punched in the combo, opened up the gate, drove in, shut the gate, locked it, and then continued down the access road. They followed this road for about 2 miles where it came to a stop right outside of this huge forest. They parked their truck, they got out, they put on their gear, and in the pre-morning darkness began hiking into the woods. Even though they were there primarily to hunt, Eben and his father secretly enjoyed just hiking around the woods and camping out, and any chance they got to extend their hunting trips, they would, even if the hunting wasn't good. And so since they spent a ton of time in the woods together, they noticed almost immediately when they walked into this particular forest that something was off. There's no birds, there's no animals, silence.
I don't know if you know this, but if you notice something is off, usually you're like, let's not be in this situation. Like, you noticed it immediately, and yet you were still like, let's still go into the woods for a good time. That's, no.
It's just totally silent. The only sounds they heard that were not them was a single plane that passed overhead. Although they found this very odd, they figured, you know what, this is private property, not a lot of people are out here. I'm sure as soon as we showed up, the animals were aware of us and they've scattered. They finally make it out to the hunting stand that the owner had told them about. They get all settled in, they're getting ready to see some animals, and all day long, they don't see a single animal. They don't hear a single animal. In fact, again, it is just completely silent. Frustrated, they began packing up their stuff, making their way down off the stand, and they started looking for a place to make camp for the night. And Eben's father suggested, well, hey, there's obviously nothing over here. It's been quiet all day. Why don't we walk deeper into the woods a little ways, set up camp there, so tomorrow we have a better chance of seeing some animals. So they hiked for about an hour farther away from where they parked their truck, and they reached this clearing, which is perfect for setting up their camp. And so they set up their tent, and Eben's father says, hey, we still got some daylight. Do you want to go try our luck and see if we can see some animals out here now?
I don't know if you know this, but if you're further away from your escape vehicle, it's just more time for a psycho to just find and murder you immediately. Like, always be close enough that you can just be like, yep, fuck this shit, and you're out.
Eben's like, yeah, why not? So they hike a little ways away from their campsite, and they set up their blind, and once again, they don't see any animals. It's totally quiet. And so they turn around and they start heading back. As soon as they could see their campsite, which really was just their tent, they noticed that their tent was now collapsed. And Eben's father turns to him and says, "Oh, it must have been the wind." And Eben says, "No, it couldn't have been the wind, because all day today we have been commenting on how quiet it is and how the fact that there's no weather, no wind, no anything is heightening the fact that it's completely silent. So it could not have been wind." So Eben's father is like, "Well, when you set the tent up, did you not put the posts into the eyelets? Did you not build it correctly?" And Eben's like, "No, I've made that tent like 1,000 times."
Yeah, it's fucking my fault that the tent collapsed. I've been with you the entire goddamn time, and we came back and our tent is all of a sudden kicked over on the ground.
I know it was set up correctly. They walk into their campsite and they look down at their tent, and they're really confused at what they see. The two rods that go in an X over the top of the tent that thread through nylon loops and then anchor at 4 different points on the base of the tent, well, they had been removed from the 4 corners. And if you know how a tent works, it works on tension. And once you have a rod anchored in 2 points, it doesn't just pop out. It's anchored at 2 sides. It's actually difficult to remove each anchor. Once one is out, the other comes out easily. But basically, the rod would need to break in order for it to come out of those anchor points, or someone would have to come over and remove it. And they didn't remove them, and none of the rods were broken, which leaves them with either they failed to set up their tent, even though they had distinct and clear memories of setting it up and double checking it was set up because they put gear inside of it, or someone came over to their campsite while they were gone and undid the 4 corners. They decide, you know what, it can't be some stranger coming over here because we're the only ones with the gate combo. This is private property and no one could have been here. And why would they do that if they came to our campsite? Why would they randomly collapse our tent and then vanish?
We don't know that they're the only people on this property. They just assume that. Like, the rich guy isn't friends with other people, that he's like, "Oh, hey, I've got hunting property. Go ahead and go out there." "Oh, we didn't see another vehicle." So? Doesn't mean there's not somebody still out there.
So it had to be us. We must have not made the tent. And while they didn't really believe that they had not made their tent, they convinced themselves that that's what happened because the alternative was just too bizarre and frankly terrifying to consider. So they build their tent and they make a little fire and they stay up for a little while chatting before being tired and saying, "Okay, let's just go to bed." They extinguish the fire, they get in the tent, and they both fall asleep.
If you think that somebody came over and collapsed your tent, even if you're trying to convince yourself, no, that's not what happened, you're gonna do like just a perimeter check real quick while you're gathering firewood, or just because you're paranoid, you'd be like, you know what, let's go like, 50 yards out in concentric circles, like 50, 75, 100, just kind of like checking the area, making sure there's nothing out here that like maybe we missed. Maybe there's a secret like underground cave that somebody popped out of. Maybe somebody's hiding in a ghillie suit. Maybe, yeah, who the fuck knows? But you would be like, yeah, no, it must have been us. We must have screwed it up, even though we've done this millions of times. We probably didn't set it up right. You like, even if you convince yourself that's true, you're still gonna be like, let's just check the area real quick. Like, we still got some daylight. Let's go, obviously let's do like some sweeps just to make sure, because like I know I sent that 10 up right, which means there's some fucking out here.
A couple hours later, Eben wakes up suddenly and he's not sure if he's dreaming or not, but he thinks he hears someone laughing a couple 100 meters behind their tent off in the woods. Eben instinctively turns to make sure his dad is still in the tent with him, and he is, and then Eben starts listening really intently to what's happening outside. And all he can hear is silence, like it's been since they got in the woods. He doesn't hear any more laughter, and so he says, okay, I must have just been dreaming, and there wasn't any laughter out there, and eventually Eben goes back to sleep.
Even if like it's like, oh, it must have been a dream, I would still be like, hey dad, did you hear anything just now? And he'd be like, no, I'm fucking sleeping, go away. But then like he would also be aware that like maybe there is something out there. Like you thought you heard something. You're in the middle of the woods. Who the fuck knows what's going on? I'd be like, hey, I thought I heard something. I'm not 100% sure though. Like, just listen for a minute. Okay, all right. I'm sorry for waking you up. Let's go back to bed. And like the dad would be like, yeah, weird dream. It's been a weird fucking day. I can understand that. And he'd be a little bit more alert. Like, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I mean, I don't hear anything, but, I'll go back. I'll lay back down. I'll keep an ear out kind of thing. Just in case.
A little while later, Eben wakes up suddenly again, except this time his dad is already awake and looking around anxiously. And Eben sits up and goes, "What's going on?" And his dad goes,
"Shut the fuck up, I heard something."
And he goes, "Can you hear that?" And Eben listens, and to his horror, he hears laughing. He wasn't dreaming before. Eben also realizes the laughter is not coming from the same area he heard it. It's now coming from the opposite direction, and it's a lot closer to them. Eben very quietly and carefully explains to his dad that he actually heard this laughter a couple hours earlier, and Eben's father turns to Eben and says, "Before we came out here, I asked the owner, should we expect any other hunters or campers or anybody nearby? And the owner said, this is private property and it's fenced in. There is no one there but you guys."
I don't know if you know this. Like, I'm a big dude. Like, I'm pretty big dude. Like, I'm over 300 pounds. I have no shame in admitting that. When I was younger, I hopped fences like a motherfucker. It's not that hard. Like, I'm talking 6, 8, 10-foot fences because I was a shitty child and got into as much trouble as fucking possible. It's really not that hard to hop a fence. And if you're bored on a fucking Saturday night and you see like this big area, you're like, oh, I wonder what's in there. I remember doing it when I was younger. I hopped a fence into one of the factory yards just to see what the fuck was over there. Not knowing that if one of the pipes like that I was walking around burst, I was gonna fucking die. So if you see a fence and you're like, I wonder what's in there, it's just like a big forest. And you hop the fence with like a buddy or whatever, or you just do it alone because you're a fucking sociopath. And you're just walking around the woods at night. You're like, I could get killed by a bear or Bigfoot or somebody that doesn't see a reflective orange vest and just shoots for no reason, like Alec Baldwin. Like, you would have no fucking idea, but it's not that hard to hop a fence.
After this revelation, they both turn their attention back to just listening because they're hoping this is just going to stop and whatever this is just going to leave.
Whatever this is, obviously it's a person. Or it could be a hyena, I guess. Like, if this guy's one of, like, those rich assholes, like, I'm gonna buy a bunch of weird fucking animals and put them on this land, because I don't care. But if it's a person, and, like, you can tell it's, like, human laughter, it could be a bird, too. There's a lot of birds that mimic human laughter, I guess. But if you just hear that, you'd be like, yeah, no, it's not gonna go away soon. Like, get ready, fucking load up. Like, let's get ready to kick this thing's ass.
But it doesn't leave. They hear footsteps running towards them from way off in the forest. And it's so quiet, it's really easy to hear these footsteps. And whatever this is charging towards them. And then it comes to a complete stop right at the edge of their clearing. At this point, Eben is now grabbing onto his father. Eben's father is holding onto his rifle and he's getting ready to open the tent to confront whatever is out there. And right before he grabs the zipper, this person, whatever it is, starts laughing again. And it's practically right on top of them. It's so loud. They can hear it clear as day right there, right outside their tent. And Eben's father takes a deep breath. He grabs the zipper and...
Fuck all of that. So he's got a hunting rifle, right? Which I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know what they're hunting. I don't know what they have tags for. Whatever. But you know that it's in that general direction. Fuck that direction. Do you know what this is? This is a magazine full of buckshot. So fuck everything that way that has anything to do with what's laughing. Fuck all of that. And now, I know they just have hunting rifles, so you're looking at like 223, 308, whatever. So you gotta be a little bit more accurate. But fucking send it through that goddamn canvas of that tent, because fuck whatever that is. Not only that, but most hunters, at least the ones that I have talked to, carry a sidearm. This is a Glock 43. You know what I carry in it? Hollow points. You know how many I have? In this magazine, there's 10. Do you know what other magazines I have? 20-round extended magazines. So fuck everything that way for as much time as possible with whatever ammo I have. Because whatever is standing at the edge of the clearing that I am camping on private property that apparently nobody else is supposed to be on, fuck that. I'll buy another goddamn tent. I'm sorry this one's ruined, but fuck everything that way. No thank you.
As soon as he begins moving it, the sound the zipper made causes the laughter to stop. They don't hear footsteps, so they know probably something's still out there. But the laughter stops like it's recognized that they're making noise. They're right there. There they are. They're in the tent. Eben's father freezes with his hand on the zipper, and he's debating whether he should go outside or not.
You've already made the noise. It's already stopped laughing. You still know that it's in that general direction. You come out guns fucking up. All right? You just come out, hey, asshole, fuck off. And whatever it is would probably fuck off. Doesn't matter what it is. You come out with whatever. Not only that, but like, so hunting rifle, you assume bolt action rifle. Guess what else you can hunt with? An AR-15. And it's Georgia, so they're very good about gun laws. So fuck everything in that direction with as much 223 and 5.56 that you fucking have, and then we'll figure it out in the morning.
And before he can even make that decision, whatever this thing is turns around and runs back into the woods, and it's just gone. And for several minutes, they just sit like that in total silence, praying that whatever this is gone for good.
I don't know if you know this, but God is not going to answer. Like, this is your problem. Whatever it is, go out there and fucking find it and make sure it never does it again.
And after several minutes, when they don't hear anything, there's no more laughing, there's no more running, Eben's father re-zips up the tent, puts his hand back down, and they're both left just sitting there thinking, what the heck just happened? Eben and his father would stay up all night, and they would barely speak, because whatever this thing was had heard them when they moved the zipper. And so they were really afraid of making any sound, even little sounds, because it's so quiet, sound travels really far, and they don't know who or what is out there. And so in silence, holding their guns, they're just waiting for the sun to come up. And as soon as it did, they were up and out of there, literally running out of the forest, checking over their shoulder the whole time, all the way back to their truck. And so to this day, they have no idea who or what the heck was running around out there. And they told the owner of the property about it, and the owner just said, it's not possible. We have a totally gated in private piece of property, and there are cameras watching the only entrance. And you are the only ones that went in or out over that time period. And prior to that, we monitor this property. Nobody else was in there.
We think, and that's the biggest thing, is that we think nobody else is in there. Again, not that hard to hop a fence. I'm just saying. Oh, we have a camera on the gate. Cool. Does it cover the far back end of the property that, I don't know, butts up against a mental institution that somebody escaped from? No, there's no cameras out there? All right, shut the fuck up. Oh. So, yeah, that was that video. Yeah, fuck all of that and everything that it stands for. No, thank you. Again, I understand that as a firearm owner, you are responsible for every round that you fire. But you're in the middle of nowhere, right? It's a big old piece of property. Who knows, if there's any other people out there. But if you're the only people that are supposed to be out there, no other campers, no other hunters, nobody else is out there. Fuck everything in that direction, wherever that laughter was coming from. As many rounds as you can send. Bolt action or not. I don't know if you know this, but German soldiers during World War II were able to fire like 60 rounds in a minute or something like that with a bolt action Kar 98. So just send it and fuck the tent, we'll get a new one. Just kill everything that way. So I'm going to end that video here. I'm probably going to do another one on number 2, Pinch. So look out for that video. I really appreciate you guys watching. And I'll catch you in the next one. Later.